Hello everyone, my name is Amna from your loving school KPS Convent. As we are locked down till 14 April, so we have so much time left for ourselves. Now it's up to you whether you want to utilize your time or not. We value your time and education, so KPS Convent School is providing you digital classes because we believe in our school vision, that is to educate a child for a meaningful life. So let's get started. Welcome to the new session, class 7th. As you know, this is our book Pearson Mypedia, and it is 7th grade book of history and civics. We will start our session with history chapter 1. So as you can see, this is our first chapter of the history, introduction to the medieval world. Before starting the chapter, it is very essential to know the objectives of the chapter. Objectives of this chapter is: first, historical periods; second, medieval period in India; third, major historical developments; fourth, terminologies; and fifth, sources of medieval history. So our first topic is historical periods. Historical periods. Historical periods reflect changes in the society, political system, and economy, as well as in religious traditions, ideas, faith, and beliefs of the people. For an easier understanding of history, the historians have divided it into three periods, that is, ancient period, medieval period, and modern period. Medieval period in India. The medieval period in Indian history ranges from the beginning of the 8th century to the end of the 18th century, which was marked by the fall of Gupta Empire and the dawn of the era of colonial domination. This period is considered as an important milestone in the evolution of composite culture of India. The historians have classified the medieval period in India into two parts, that is, early medieval period and late medieval period. Early medieval period. The early medieval period started from the 8th century to the 13th century. The ruling kingdom during this period including the Palas, Pratihas, Rashtrakutas, Cholas, and Rajput. Late medieval period. The late medieval period dated from the 13th century to the 18th century, that experiences the region of the Turks, Afghans, and Mughals. So our next topic is major historical developments. In it we have subtopics. First, introduction. Second, emergence of new social and political groups and kingdoms. Third, region, kingdom, and economic changes. And fourth, religious traditions. Our first topic is introduction of medieval period in India. Major historical developments in medieval India. Different kinds of historical developments took place all over the world during the medieval period. India too had its share of some important developments in the social, economical, and political spheres. These were some of the major historical developments in India during the medieval period. Emergence of agriculture as a primary occupation, emergence of several Rajput kingdoms in the northern and western parts of India, arrival of the Turks and establishment of the Delhi Sultanate. Overseas trade thrived as the Indian traders established business relation with other countries, and development of Hinduism and Islam as major religions of India, arrival of European trading companies. Sufism and Bhaktism also spread in India in this period. So our next topic is emergence of new social and political groups and kingdoms. The caste system attained great emphasis during this period. The term Kshatriya was introduced between the 8th and 14th century, which was applied to not only rulers and chieftains but also to soldiers and commanders. People were further subdivided into jati or subcaste based on their occupation and rank in the society. The society was primarily dominated by these four major groups, that is, aristocrat, priest, city dwellers, and peasants. In the aristocrats such as the nobles, sultans, officials, as well as the Hindu kings belonged to this category, who were entitled to the many privileges. Priest. This group comprised the Pandits, Maulvis, Qazis, and Ulemas who advised the rulers on important matters. City dwellers. The merchants, artisans, craftspersons, and slaves belong to this category. and peasant. Peasantry was adopted by increasing number of people. These newly emerged group of new peasants were influenced by a number of factors such as regional market, chieftains, priests, temples and monasteries. So our next topic is region, kingdom and economic changes in empire. For this I am going to show you a video. After that we will discuss it further.
Objectives. Let's learn to list some of the steps taken by different rulers who ruled India during the medieval period to improve their economic condition. Identify land revenue as the main source of income during the medieval period. Describe the role of trade guilds during medieval period. Introduction. The medieval period between 8th to 18th century was a period of great progress in India. Agriculture, trade and commerce flourished and contributed to every growing economy. Let's look at some of the steps taken by the different dynasties that ruled during that period to improve their economic condition. Agriculture. Agriculture was the main occupation of the people in medieval India. The Chola dynasty, which ruled during this period, built canals from the Kaveri river in order to provide water for irrigation and improve the agricultural production of their land. Trade and commerce. Almost all the rulers of South India during the medieval period encouraged trade and commerce. The Rashtrakutas entertained Arab traders, as a result of which the kingdom became prosperous. The Pandyas too encouraged Arab traders, with Kayal being their major seaport. The Cholas maintained commercial relations with countries like China, Arabia and East Indies, while the Kakatiyas established a number of industries for the economic development of the kingdom. Motupalli was their important seaport through which foreign trade took place. Trade guilds. The entire commercial activity during the medieval period was regulated by trade guilds. These guilds were merchants' associations and they performed functions like selling and purchasing, giving loans, accepting deposits, extending charities and other welfare activities. Thus, they had an important role to play in the country's economy. There were different guilds for different trades. Land revenue. The main source of income to the state during the medieval period was the revenue they got from land. The rulers collected 1/3 of the produce of the land as tax. They also collected taxes on forests and mines. Summary. We have learnt that agriculture was the main occupation of the Indian people during the medieval period. Almost all the rulers of South India encouraged trade and commerce. Land revenue was the main source of income to the state during the medieval period. Trade guilds regulated the commercial activities during medieval period.
By this video, we understand that the early medieval period saw the emergence of many small regional kingdoms. The peasant, cattle keepers, and artisan contributed to the state revenue. Medieval India was marked by the adoption of agriculture as a major occupation and gradual clearing of forest. Foreign traders and invaders brought in new technologies, and the Chola dynasty attained great prominence in South India. They initiated and established trade links with the countries of Southeast Asia and China. So our next topic is religious traditions. For this I am going to show you a video. After that we will discuss it further.
Medieval India. Religion. Objectives. Let's learn to identify the religious leanings of the different dynasties that ruled India during the medieval period. Explain the role of temples in medieval Indian society. Introduction. The medieval period saw the revival of religion and a change in the outlook of the Indians toward religion. Preachers spread the idea of unity of God and people were influenced by this idea. South India. Religion. Different South Indian rulers followed different religions. The Rashtrakutas were followers of Jainism,
but were tolerant to all religions. The Cholas were Shaivites, though Vishishtadvaita of Sri Ramanuja was also popular during the initial years of the Chola rule. Vishishtadvaita again became popular during the Hoysala period. Shaivism as a religion was spread by Nayanmars. It had extreme branches like the Pashupatas and the Kapalikas, both of whom were constantly at war with each other. Shaivism, especially Veerashaivism, became popular during the rule of the Kakatiya dynasty and was followed by a number of people. Vaishnavism as a religion was popularized by the Alvars. It was propagated in Karnataka with the advent of Sri Ramanujacharya. In North India, the Rajputs followed Hinduism. Temples during the medieval period. Temples played an important role in medieval Indian society. They were not only the spiritual centers, but educational institutions, a meeting place to discuss important social issues, and even centers of art and culture, especially during the time of the Cholas and the Kakatiyas. Therefore, a number of land grants were given to temples by the rulers, the rich in society, and the officials. With this income, the temples undertook a number of welfare activities. Summary. We have learnt that the Rajputs in North India were followers of Hinduism. The Rashtrakutas in the south were followers of Jainism. Shaivism was more popular in the Kakatiya kingdom. The Jain scholars in the Chola kingdom did a great service to Tamil literature. Temples served not only as spiritual centers but also as educational institutions during the medieval period.
So by this video we clearly see that people collectively believed in the existence of the divine. Religion significantly influenced the various social and economic groups during the medieval period. So our next topic is terminologies. The use and meaning of terminologies undergo changes with time. For example, the term Hindustan has been used to refer to different things during different time periods by different people. Today the term is used to refer to our country India, but in the 13th century Minhas-e-Siraz used Hindustan to refer to the areas of Punjab, Haryana and the regions between rivers Ganga and Yamuna. He used it politically to refer to the areas under the Delhi Sultanate. Also, Babur used Hindustan in the early 16th century to refer to the geography, inhabitant and culture of this region. So our next topic is sources of medieval history. There are two types of sources of medieval history, that is, first archaeological sources, second literary sources. Archaeological sources. Monument inscriptions, sculptures, paintings and coins are the archaeological sources of medieval history. Monuments. Indian historical monuments such as temples, stoops, palaces and forts provided an insight into the technologies used for construction. They also gives us information about the architectural style and religious or foreign influence of the concerned era. They also highlight the skills of the artisans, material used, lifestyle, customs, food habit and dresses and jewelry of the people of that period. Moreover, they showcase the vision and interest of the rulers under whose patronage these monuments were constructed. Next, inscriptions. Inscriptions are words or some form of writing that are written or cut into a surface. This can be on the stone walls of temples, pillars, slabs, seals and copper plates. Inscriptions provide information of the extent of empire, religious orders, policies of rulers and their achievement. Next, sculptures. Sculptures of the medieval period were made up of bronze, wood or stone, and they depicted figures of god, goddesses, queens and kings. These sculptures reflected the themes of religion, forest life, custom, lifestyle and food habit of the people. Paintings. During the medieval period, there was a significant growth in the field of painting in India. The Mughal Empire patronized many painters and artisans. Coins. Coins of the medieval period were made of copper and silver with symbols on them. They help us gather knowledge about the rulers and their ruling periods and the extent of economic development. The presence of foreign coins indicates the existence of foreign trade. Also, the type of metal or alloy used gives us information about the scientific advancement of that period. Literary sources. There are two types of literary sources, that is, indigenous writings and foreign writings. Indigenous writings. It includes biographies. Biographies means people's life stories written by other people. For example, Tughlaqnama and Akbari are the few examples of biographies. Autobiographies. Certain rulers also wrote autobiographies that tell us about their life and times in detail. Babarnama and Tuzak-e-Jahangiri are the autobiographies of Babar and Jahangir respectively. Chronicles. Chronicles refer to the written records of events arranged in the order in which they happened. These were written by court historians. Most of them were written in Turkish and Persian languages. Foreign writings. Foreign writings include travelogues. Many foreign travelers visited India and maintained records about the places they have visited, their experience during travel, as well as their observation and meeting with the rulers and the common people. These accounts are known as travelogues. So our last topic is use of sources for writing history. The various sources of history provide a foundation to the historians to reconstruct the past. There are some uses of sources for writing history. The sources throw ample light on the social, economic, and religious condition of any particular period. They give information on trade, mode of transport, extent of empire, and scientific development of that period. The policies of the rulers and their achievements are highlighted by these sources. The architectural skills of the workers, material used for construction, customs, and lifestyle of the people are revealed by these sources. They are the most authentic sources of information in reconstructing medieval history. Thanks for watching. Stay home, be safe, and take care.